When you think you made it disappear, you sure you made it disappear. And you've still got angst in your pants.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new edition of Sparks, Entertainment and Art, where we explore so many interesting aspects of the band Sparks. And today we are talking with Morris Gautreau. And Morris, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Monte. Very happy to be here.
Well, I am very glad to have you here. And one of the reasons I wanted to reach out to you is just to share. There's two things I want to explore. And one is your great lists that you've been putting together through Sparks Timber. And I have some thoughts about it just to hear your thoughts about it because they're your lists and they're great. But the second thing is really the first thing I want to talk about is you a little bit because you have a show. We should put that right out there. You have a great YouTube channel, and you have, in very short order, been dedicating a lot of the episodes to the band Sparks. And my impression from listening to you is that you've come to the band fairly recently, but yet you've become a complete and utter acolyte and fan of the band. I mean, a big time fan. And I think that is so cool. So with that, let me turn it over to you a little bit. How did you discover this band, and what was the chord that it hit that made you such a big fan in such a short period of time?
Well, it first took place when I was working at the movie theater. I haven't been, it's going to be going 2 years since I last worked at the movie theater, but it was just a trailer for the Edgar Wright documentary, The Sparks Brothers, and I was captivated by that. It was just like because at first I didn't know they were a real band. I thought it was going to be a parody movie. But I went home that night, researched it. The first video I saw was Discounted Big Enough for the Both of Us, and seeing like not the video but the live performance one, and just seeing Ron with that mustache and the way Russell was singing, they had they had a certain for me, a certain hook of, I say weirdness, okay, but in the most positive and greatest way possible. And it just was captivating for me. And so I ended up buying the first thing is Kimono My House, which I have a few albums of them, but yeah, Kimono My House, got home, listened to it, was fascinated by it, and loved it right away. Some songs not as much as others, but those did grow on me pretty darn quick, very, very fast. And so yeah, so then once and luckily, the next album that I was able to see there and was available was Propaganda, and that instantly became yeah became my favorite album. And it's just the quirkiness in Ron's lyrics, uh, yeah, the musicality of it. You know, I find Ron's Ron's playing so inspirational that it made me go out and get this. Now I'm trying to learn how to play because yeah, because it's such a and what it does is it tickles my funny bone. I see all the hidden meanings and everything behind the lyrics in that, whether they're being serious or not. I like the more of the sillier stuff, but of course, I also came from a background of being a rocker. Well, my my favorite band is Tool. As you can see the poster behind me here.
Yeah.
But and being a Sparks fan is something I never ever would have thought of. But they hit me in the right way, in the right way. I find their music so captivating, and there's such a huge variety of different genres. So there was something for yeah, it's just so well rounded of a band, and the fact that they kind of was under that radar the whole time, that yeah, it boggles my mind how awesome that band is. And yeah, it's just the sheer variety of the genre that just like there's so much for me to digest and get into. And I know that some of those albums because I only heard them for the like one or two times, as compared to like these, which I've listened to a few dozen times already. I know that the ratings for the other ones will grow by next year. I'm hoping to have all the albums by that time, by next September. I know that they're going to grow. They're going to get better for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean that's one of the things about them is that, first impressions are often misleading. And sometimes, like with Latte, my first impression was very, very negative.
Hmm.
But then all of a sudden something clicked, and now I think it's one of their really top 5 or 6 albums.
Yeah. And another thing that's kind of helping me on my journey is, well, channels like yours, of course, hearing stuff from other fans, but Paul Barrett's Metasparks channel gave me some insight that I wouldn't have not really considered otherwise. But it gave me a nice overview, and I really agree with a lot of his assessments of what those lyrics means and everything. And I thought that was a nice education. And of course, we got Larry Graves, which his opinion is always very appreciated. And I discovered Larry Graves, of course, because I was looking for rankings of Sparks albums,
Yeah, he
and
loves
his
to rank.
came up.
He
Huh?
loves to rank. He loves to rank. He loves
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
rankings and lists. Yeah.
yeah. So watching his ranking for 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 Sparks, and I just liked his whole vibe, his whole attitude and everything. It's just we're sharing in such a fun band. That's another thing. What made me as I draw to Sparks is because how fun they are. They're a fun band, plain and simple. One of the funnest bands, I would have to say. But Sparks is just fun. One of the funnest bands that I think I've ever heard.
I think Paul does make some great points. But I also think that it's important to listen, for me personally, I listen to him on many different levels. And
Mhm.
sometimes just listening, the way I like to put it is before you start peeling away the onion, make sure you appreciate the onion. You know what I mean? I mean, the
Yes.
song
Oh, yes.
itself, and one of my favorite examples is Instant Weight Loss, which I listened to for years and years. I just thought it was a funny little
Oh.
song and I was perfectly happy. Now I've heard about 4 or 5 different interpretations of it, all of which could be valid. I don't think there's a right or wrong. But, the song itself is just so much fun and it's such a classic little tune, kind of lost on that big bombastic album, but it's there. And
Oh.
it's
Such a good album.
what's that?
It's such a good album.
Oh yeah, but my point being that they are just fun. A lot of their music is fun. Sparks in Outer Space may not be the greatest album ever produced in the history of mankind, but it's fun.
Yep. Oh, yes, it is.
So one of the things that I loved about your shows in Sparks Timber was how you brought it all home at the end by getting into lists, and you really but your lists weren't the typical list that you see with ratings like 10, 9, 9.5, but you had ratings of
It's all good.
8.687, 8.66, 8.562. How did you come up? I like a good list as much as anybody, but yours really
Well,
struck me as so thoughtful.
well, first of all, I had to admit that I don't like. There's no Spark songs that I heard so far that's really under an eight. I find they're all good. There are some exceptions, which you will see, of course, very few exceptions. There's maybe only two songs that I wouldn't even really consider them songs, so they're easy to skip.
So, which are they? You got to tell
Uh,
us which they are.
like the orchestral collage on
Right.
plagiarism. I
Right.
don't need to listen to that. That can be skipped anytime.
Hmm.
It's only, yeah. And then there's what else?
Where
There's
do you
I
put
know
Everybody Move?
everybody moves. Everybody move. That's on. Oh,
Cooling
I know what
Rabbits.
that's on. Huh?
Cooling Rabbits.
Yeah. Put that at 8.5 actually.
8.5.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Okay.
actually enjoyed that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to the ones to how did you come up with such an intricate rating system? That's what I really want to know.
Well, because I know the how to average it all out, right? Like like for that, for example, okay, in outer space, the lowest score was eights, okay, because they're all pretty darn good songs. Like this got a flat score of nine, okay. This is a great example because it got a nine, flat out. It was 9.000. The lowest score is eight. Of course, there's three 10 out of tens because it's when I'm going to write down the initial scores, I'm listening to it, and as soon as the song is done, okay, I give my initial okay, what did that song, I try not to think too much about it. I just want to give my initial feelings of how did the music hit me? Did I think it was silly? Did I?
You have almost a quantitative approach. I mean, you didn't just say, well, that's a 7 and that's a 9 and that's a 5.5. You came up with these
Mhm.
numbers like 8.66 and 7.32. And so what
Well,
was your
that's
formula?
Well, that's because of the average. That's what the whole album averages out. Like you add up all the numbers, right? Okay, and then you divide it by how many songs there is, and you get the average of all that, and that just happens to come out at 8.772. But I still keep it at like with like I'm showing you here, each song gets rated from that, okay? From each
Hmm.
of those numbers. There's no other decimal point besides those. But when you sum it all up and you find the average, that's where you get these odd little, these odd little numbers like 8.772, 8.318. And it just gave me an accurate, so when I'm doing my rating, as you can see, okay, it gives me an accurate indication because like I say, it goes from eight, between eight to 10, because there's nothing really, really below eight. It's not. I know it's not going to get anything below eight with the averages. So it gives me a perfect rating score. But then, of course, I have to interject more of my personal feelings. So that's why, even though some of the rating gets a little higher, okay, like for example, the Franz Ferdinand, it still gets lower on the scoreboard because personally, I like those other albums better than that because of the sheer variety and the talent that is behind those albums.
Well, indiscreet 20? That's going to change
Yeah,
after in a year,
that's
right?
going to change. I know that's going to change. There's some here I know that's going to get a little bit better as I listen to them more. Like introducing Sparks will probably get better for me as I listen to it more. Even balls will, like from 19 going up, it will probably get more. But yeah, they're all still pretty darn close. If you look at the score, and like they're all somewhat even here, but it's only when you get to gratuitous sax and outer space where you hit into the nine range,
Hmm.
then you see it's you know I don't know. I think it just, yeah, I really like my rating system, and I'm
It's amazing. It's an
and I'm
amazing
hope
rating system,
and
and
I'm
I really
hoping.
wonder where it'll be in a year because I'll bet indiscreet's going to be a lot higher. And one of the
Yeah,
things that
yeah.
really jumped out at to me when I looked at your list of albums, not a lot of love for Little Beethoven. I noticed, even the album cover came in at number 26.
I guess it's still, I like more of the rock element.
Right.
Um, a little bit of it gets a little operatic for me, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with the album
Oh, I know.
personally,
I get it.
and I want to do, and I know that will grow. I'm sure that will get more towards the middle, but then again, if something goes up, what's going to go down? That means if something goes up, it's going to drive something down, and I can't really see any of those other things going down. You know, the albums can only this number can only start just getting higher and a little higher and higher and higher, and these numbers will start getting more closer and closer together because everything will start improving. That's what I'm thinking, you
Well,
know.
I'm going to have you back on the show next October, and we're going to talk about how your list changed because
Yes, yes.
it could be that it doesn't change at all. It could be that you have it the way it's going to be for the next 30 years of your life, but I'll bet it's going
Maybe
to change. But
that's true. That could very possibly be true too.
all
And
right, so
it's
let's turn
awesome.
to the singles just for a second here.
Yes,
Here's some of
yes.
the things that jumped out at me. Okay, two songs from Plagiarism in the top 15. That's really amazing. Angst in
Yeah.
My Pants shows up twice in the top three, including number one from Plagiarism.
Because I
Two. Let me just go through this. Two Kimono My House songs in the top 10, but I didn't see any after that. Maybe there's one or two, but I didn't see them. And I thought that was amazing. And then I loved the little nod to Giddy Giddy because I think that song doesn't get the props that it deserves. All right,
yes.
over to you. Thoughts?
Yes, where did I rank Giddy Giddy again?
You had it
Oh yeah, 34. I love
34.
Giddy Giddy. I love Giddy Giddy. It's just
I
such
do
a
too.
but yeah, with my top choices, of course, I have that angst in my pants on plagiarism. They just nailed it. They just nailed how like to redo that song and make it better. It's more rocking. It's just I think even a slightly faster tempo. Is it if I remember
Yeah. No, I
correctly?
agree. I agree with
Yeah,
you on
I
this.
love that.
Yeah. I agree, but what's so wonderful about this is that the original version is number three. It's not like it's number 75 or
No, no, no.
240. It's right up
No,
there.
because that original version, I still remember, the first time hearing that. I just love that the way it starts, the way he sings it. There's such a, I don't know, almost like nonchalantness to his voice, like it's almost like it's just a matter of fact. It's not really all that important to sing about, but he does it in a way, 'cause if you listen to how he's singing it, it's just a passing phase. It will go away. It's just there's so much almost melancholiness to it. Like it really doesn't matter at all how I'm singing this, but it's so perfect. Works so well with the song. It's just so awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I think they killed it with the cover of it. And I was always a big fan of the original too.
Yeah.
So I liked it. Now, is Dance Goddammit on your list? Because you're talking about Russell's vocals. And I'm just wondering what you think about that one.
Yeah, I gave that a 9. Yeah, Dance Goddamn, I gave that a strong 9.
That's amazing.
So
So this list of 51 that you have,
these are
but
all
they're
the
the ones that
10
are
out of 10.
tens?
So every time that I wrote 10 out of 10, that's that list. There was 51 of them, you know, and I mean number one, two songs from number one in heaven, number one song in heaven and Trials for the Human Race. The fact that those made the top five. Yeah, I wasn't really expecting that. And then of course nothing is as good as they say it is. Had to hit number 6.
Yeah.
And
On their most
I
recent album, 26 albums in, they can produce a song that you consider in their top five or six songs of all
yeah.
time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was expecting reinforcements to be a little higher because I really love that song too. I was really, but no, I don't know. Those songs kind of beat it out because I mean, I can't. What else can I say about this town ain't big enough for the both of us? Really, it kind of leaves me speechless in a way. How great that song was, and that's why it gets a top spot because it's such a hook. It was such a hook of a song
Yeah.
that get me in, to get me like, whoa, what's this band?
I just listened to that song 2 days ago as if I'd never heard it before. And if you listen to it from that perspective, it's like, what is this? What's going on here?
It's such a strange song. and
It
and
is.
it makes you curious. It really is a curious song that like when you hear it, you gotta like, okay, what else can they do? Now the bottom of the list, again, there are 10 out of 10s. That doesn't mean that these are bad songs at all. You know, it's just that out of all those 50 that something had to be last. And so Unaware, it's just because it's probably the slowest paced song that's in the whole list. Lighten Up Morrissey, it gets the second bottom of the list because I find it's just a little too commercial. It's just a
Yeah.
little too commercial.
It's
It's
not
just
my
a little
thing,
bit
that
too
song.
standard.
Yeah. It's okay. Well, your list is amazing. Let me ask you one last question. All of this
Okay.
list aside, is there any one song or a couple songs that really hit you, not just because they're fun, but just almost on an emotional level because they just speak to you in a certain way?
I really kind of dug Nothing Is as Good as They Say It Is because I really identify with the perspective of look at what we've done to this world and how could we live, that whole line of how can we exist in a world like this? How can we exist in a place like this, as he puts it? And it's like, I don't want to be in this place because look what we did to it.
It seems like in their last few albums, there's more and more statement songs, either about them
Yes.
personally or about how they're
Mm,
seeing the world. And I think that's something that really needs to be explored. But the second
yes.
thing is, I'm just so glad you shared that because it really adds something to the perspective that we're getting from you as a listener. And let me just say thank you. This has been it's been so much fun. That's all. It's been so much fun, and you have so many great thoughts. And I love your lists. And I'm really glad that you came on.
Yeah, no, I thank you for having me on. Uh, I think us Sparks fans, we need to band together and try to spread the word of how fantastic this band really is. There's so much to explore, and people shouldn't be so quick to dismiss them right off bat. That I know a couple of my friends, that I know they dismissed them, as this novelty band, as they're a little too fancy for me maybe, but they should really give them a chance because there's such an everyday, you know kind of quality to their work that I think anybody should be able to find something to identify.
Absolutely. People make their mind up, and sometimes it's really, I think, to their loss, but there's just nothing you can do. But everybody, you heard what Morris had to say. Go out there and spread the word, get all those naysayers to appreciate this wonderful band. And Morris, thank you again for coming on the show. It was so much fun. And I'm going to have you back next year after Sparks Temper because I'm getting a sense that you're the kind of person you're going to put together a whole new set of lists. So we're going to go over that and talk about it. And let me just thank you and thank everybody for watching and enjoying Morris. I think it was a fantastic conversation. Everybody, I will see you soon. Hit that subscribe button. You can do it. You can do
Yes,
it.
please do. And
Please
hit like
do.
and
Check out Morris's show. It's great. And everybody, we will talk to you soon with a brand new episode.
bye bye, everybody.
Bye bye, everybody.